decades has blanketed southeast Queensland, pushing air pollution to extreme levels. Waves of outback dust blew into the region just before lunchtime, blocking out the sun, forcing health warnings on air travellers.
The dust swept in from the south, suffocating Brisbane and smothering its surrounds. In the past 24 hours, thousands of tonnes of topsoil was dumped over the city. Swine flu masks had been tucked away until today. Air pollution was 1,500 times its normal level in southern parts of Queensland. First-time visitors to Brisbane were unimpressed.
We're from the country. Is Brisbane always like this?
Through the thick haze, South Bank all but disappeared.
Queensland, beautiful one day, dusty the next.
Race day at Eagle Farm was cancelled. The farmers' markets at Brisbane Square struggled in the strong wind.
Basically, my job at the moment is just to hold this thing down so we don't get blown away.
Car yards were covered. There are more than 500 vehicles in this lot alone.
We'll have 4 or 5 detailers out with their gurneys and buckets probably for the next few days.
Strong winds were whipped up on the Gold Coast.
You can taste it, you can feel it too. It just feels like dust, it's a bit dry.
The dusty film engulfed Ipswich. Just after midday, visibility was down to around 300 metres in some areas.
It's super windy. It can, whatever you're holding, it can blow out from your hands.
Businesses considered closing until the haze passed.
I found it quite eerie, actually. It did feel like the end of the world, and it just seems to be getting worse as the day goes on.
Customers choked in Warwick.
Usually we keep the doors open just so customers can come straight in, but obviously we've had to shut the doors because of the dust.
This was the Cunningham Highway this afternoon. Headlights were a must.
Never seen dust like it before, not this thick.
Dust storms aren't uncommon in spring, but it's worse this time around because of prolonged dry spells across the country. 50-kilometre-an-hour winds brought down power lines, cutting electricity to more than 2,500 homes between the Gold Coast and Caboolture. Energex says if the gusty conditions continue, more outages should be expected. But the Bureau says tomorrow's outlook is much clearer.
Hopefully blue skies in the morning with just a little bit of lingering dust haze for a day or so.
From here, the dust leaves Australia. Valuable topsoil unlikely to return.
The dust is heading out into the Coral Sea from here, even up into the Gulf of Carpentaria, and probably see a little bit in the tropics in a few days' time too.
Michael Scanlon, 7 News.
Reporter Peter Doherty is overlooking Brisbane and joins us now live. And Peter, is the dust starting to clear?
Kay, visibility improves slightly around 4 o'clock this afternoon, but it is very bleak again. This is the view right now from Riparian Plaza, Brisbane's second tallest building. Normally, you would be able to see across the CBD over to South Bank and then out to the western suburbs, the hills at Mount Cootha, where the sun should have set this afternoon, but really it vanished around 5 o'clock this afternoon through this dust. This is an incredible weather event. You can taste it in your mouth, feel it on your hands, see it on the car and smell it on the washing. Even after it vanishes from the sky, this dust will linger in our homes for a lot longer. Kay?
It's even made its way into the studio. Thank you. Peter Doherty, live from the city.
Health authorities remain on alert across the southeast, warning asthma sufferers and people with respiratory problems to stay indoors while the dust lingers. Pregnant women, children and the elderly have also been urged to stay inside or wear a protective mask.
For thousands of asthma sufferers like Tux Holland, simply breathing today took extra effort.
Yeah, a lot coughing.
Robin Bayliss wasn't taking any chances with her family as the dust blanketed Ipswich.
Protecting them from the dust that's around, I don't want them to have any problems.
It tastes disgusting.
You can feel it, it's getting croaky in your voice.
So thick, it made your eyes water.
It's really sticking my eyes and there's like dust over everything.
Testing confirmed the air was thick with pure desert sand and soil. Anyone outside for 4 hours sucked in 2 milligrams of dirt.
The levels that we found today are about 40 magnitudes above the indoor occupational exposure guidelines.
Health authorities ordered the elderly, pregnant women and children indoors and warned people who suffer respiratory problems not to ignore potentially life-threatening symptoms.
Fortunately, they've contacted us early and have been utilising their medication as their doctor has prescribed, and we've been able to assist them.
It's getting pretty orangey, very much.
Retirees at Moona Park Village were quite happy with the hand they were dealt.
We're particularly concerned, especially from those who suffer from asthma and particularly cardiac issues. So yes, we've just for safety's sake, we've decided that we've kept all of them indoors.
This generation has seen it all before.
Close all your doors and windows, but you could still write your name in the dust on the furniture.
At Brisbane Airport, passengers too were putting their feet up. No sooner had air traffic controllers cleared a backlog of diverted Sydney aircraft this morning and the dust rolled in across the tarmac.
The dust, the wind, the delays down in Sydney, and we've really had a chaotic day.
Never seen anything like this. That just doesn't happen in New Zealand.
We came from the airport village and we had to drive through it, and I was freaking out.
It was touch and go for pilots. This was a view of the control tower at 11 a.m. And 1 hour later. At major airports like Brisbane, most aircraft need a minimum visibility of 800 metres to land and 500 metres to take off. At midday, the visibility dropped to below 500 metres. The runways stayed open, passengers putting their faith in the pilots.
They fly in the dark, so they can fly in the dust.
Tired travellers among the many hoping the dust would clear soon. Unless you were Nathan Burley.
Dust mask, guys! Get your dust mask!
There's nothing hazy about this entrepreneurial spirit. Kim Scubris, 7 News.
The dust storm was widespread, covering a large part of New South Wales too and bringing the nation's biggest city to a standstill. Sydney's haze was their worst in 70 years and caused major disruptions to flights and ferry services.
Sydney woke to a deep red dawn. It looked like Armageddon. More like Mars than Earth, an eerie haze engulfed the city. Their famous icons were barely visible.
Getting to the Harbour Bridge, we weren't expecting it to look like this in the morning.
A blanket of dust so thick the sun couldn't break through. It closed just about everything. Ferry services stopped. The airport was crippled. Planes were diverted to Brisbane and Melbourne. Although some pilots did their best, making split-second decisions to abort landings and try again. Some made it through.
I was sitting in the emergency exit row and I was making preparations just in case that something went wrong.
Driving was downright dangerous and it got into everything. Cars, air conditioning, mouths. Masks were in demand, so were window washers. What a day for a tourist to pick to see the sights of Sydney.
It's very disappointing that we're up here on the tower and we can't see anything but dust.
It covered a large portion of New South Wales, blown in from the South Australian outback.
With the continuing drought conditions right throughout southeastern Australia, there's very little land cover there, particularly grasses.
Broken Hill was almost black.
Oh my gosh. I think we better go outside, Ted.
Orange was orange. In Tamworth, the big guitar lost its golden glow. So much dust over such a big area, all topsoil lost, picked up by the wind and dumped hundreds of kilometres away.
75,000 tonnes of dust are actually blowing over the coast north of Sydney every hour. So it's very easy to see that there's going to be the order of millions of tonnes of dust lost from the Australian continent.
The day the sky turned to blood in New South Wales cleared to some extent in the afternoon, but the air pollution is expected to be poor for at least 2 more days. Neil Warren, 7 News.
And now with details of what caused the extraordinary conditions, here's John.
Thanks, Rod. Good evening, everybody. We knew we'd be in for an uncomfortable day with gusty winds and extreme fire danger, but around 8:30 this morning we started to see the beginnings of an amazing day. Now, we have a map that shows the wind direction and air temperature with that as well. Before 9 o'clock, the winds were from the northwest, then they shifted to the west-southwest, and that was the start of our problems. The winds increased with gusts up to 50 kilometres an hour, increasing the level of dust coming in from the west. Visibility was cut to under 500 metres. Then into the afternoon, we started to see a slight improvement, but the other concern was that dry air. Humidity levels dropped as low as 13%, and that combined with gusty winds giving us the extreme fire danger. So what is the outlook? Well, it's much better news. The dust will continue to clear tonight. With that, the winds will ease, and in turn, the fire risk will drop as well. So tomorrow will be much less dusty, which is great news, with lighter winds and a lower fire danger. But we can expect winds and fire risks to return again on Saturday. Now, it was a hard job in the 7 newsroom today to pick up just a few pictures pictures from the dozens emailed to us by viewers. Tim Winnington took this magical shot of the dust storm over Manly Harbour. Amanda Johnson captured Redcliffe under a cloud. You can hardly see the sea there. And it was just as dusty in the bush. Estelle Duplessis sent this photo from her home in Chinchilla. And this is what Oakey's main street looked like, courtesy of Ashraf Saleh. Rob Crawford snapped this dust storm engulfing Surface Paradise. Never looked like that before. And this was the Brisbane City Hall clock tower, photographed by Margaret Ledingham. Fantastic. Thanks for all your photos. I'll be back shortly with the rest of tonight's weather. Okay.
Thanks, John. Well, the Broncos will flee Brisbane's choking dust tomorrow and prepare in Melbourne for their own tempest. It's a preliminary final, but Shane Webke knows it could make heroes from a team that just 2 months ago were being widely ridiculed.
Grand final dreaming